They say day 3 is a moving day. It's motored along. Forget moved along. What a day it has been for India. Because remember, at stumps on day 2, England were 207 for 2, and everyone was talking about baseball and how they could really do us in this pitch in Rajkot. But it's funny how things can change one day later, 24 hours later. You're watching the cricket.com match review with me, Avnish Hegde, on this Saturday afternoon. And as you can see, both the boys in blue, one formal, one not so formal, Nikhil Popar and Gurkirat. Gurkirat, your smile tells it all. You're confident as an Indian fan to go 2-1 up in the series?
Yeah, should be. India easily in the driver's seat. And last night, you did not feel like things could really go to plan once the news came out about Ashwin's unavailability. But yeah, credit to the whole bowling group along with the management to figure out a way how to contain the English batters, and then to Yashasvi and Gill as well, in order to make sure that India don't lose the initiative from there. So a very good day for India from all aspects.
Absolutely. Nikhil, before I get your thoughts, let's just, of course, encourage all the comments as usual. And there's lots of stats to get into on the cricket.com website. Best day of Indian Test cricket. For a long time, we were under the pump yesterday, plus Ashwin out. Felt this was the day we would go down 2-1, saying Dorf. And what a splendid 100 by Jaiswal. Perfect mix of attack and defense. We'll talk about Jaiswal, we'll talk about India's batting, but India's bowling as well. And Nick, your first thoughts on what's truly been India's day? And with the lead of now, 322, the question is, how much is good enough to really get a win?
Yeah, as many as you can. There is no hurry. And I think the bit that you said about India's day, I think it is even more pleasing because of how we all felt, right? In terms of only 240 ahead, they could wipe this off 1 hour after lunch because of the way they bat. And you think Root, Bairstow, Stokes, everybody left. And for India to then do what you feel was just the obvious. Start with the best possible combination, keep the runs down, keep bowling good balls. And you saw, and of course, I think without any undue respect, we should thank Joe Root, because it was him who allowed the floodgates to open by just giving us a nice scoop. Untimely, maybe, that to be discussed later. But I think it is very pleasing because you were in a corner, and hopefully, India don't always wait to get into a corner to come out with such a strong performance, because again, this is what we expect of the side. And it is an inexperienced side, but the inexperience is there is with the bat, not with the ball. With the ball, you have the best possible players playing for you. So well done to them. And again, Siraj, there was something that Paji wanted to say about Siraj, so I'll give him that time to please have a go.
Yeah, Siraj reflects in our showstopper, so Paji will definitely have lots to talk about. And remember,
Yeah.
guys, Nikhil just mentioned it right now, with Root being the key wicket today, because if he didn't do what he did, which is reverse sweep at second slip or third slip, wherever Jaiswal was positioned, it was absolutely ridiculous from an England perspective. But Gurkirat, at that point in time, why does he have to do that? It's almost like he's a Rolls Royce, but you're adding, like, I don't know, all those modifiers you see in Connaught Place and those Gardis going around. It's like Joe Root's become like that. He can just normally play his game and still be successful.
Yeah, it's something we've discussed earlier. I recall discussing this on day one of the series when I made a comparison of how Stokes has been batting when he's had his back against the wall. He's batted in the normal Test match template, and you felt that maybe Root can do that as well, because Root is someone who has a good enough defense, and when he's set in, he just anyway bats at a good tempo. I think today him trying that could have also possibly been wanting to put off Bumrah, because Bumrah has dismissed him in the conventional manner quite a few occasions. So maybe that could have been the thinking. But otherwise, I think we've discussed enough times that maybe Joe Root doesn't need to do it, but he's had fair enough success. I was reading some stat that uh, in 22 balls that he's played the reverse lap or whatever to Pacers, he scored 60 runs and only been dismissed once. So that's the thing with high risk high reward kind of a thing. When it doesn't really come off, it does look stupid. What makes it even more questionable is the fact that India were already one bowler down, and you knew that after Bumrah's spell, if that spell is played out without any any wickets lost, England could really be in the driver's seat. So I'm sure Root will be disappointed, and so would everyone else. But there's a very fine line in, deciding whether a batter should win that shot or he shouldn't. It's something we have discussed with regards to Rohit's pull, with regards to Virat's cover drive as well. Very difficult to that find that fine line.
Nikhil, you just mentioned it because that wicket opened up the floodgates, and we'll talk about all the England dismissals as well. But that root one, the fact that they were still way behind the eight ball in the game, you know that this is a man who actually, it's proven if he gets 150 plus, you're invariably winning a test match if he does get the runs under his belt. And you look at Ben Stokes also, who does like to take his time initially. It's not all gung ho from word go.
मेरा
What
ना
can
phone,
Root?
Manisha,
Oops.
मेरा ना
We had to mute him there. But what is it with Root right now? Because you feel like it's not just today the brain fade was seen, but even in the previous tests. Can you put a finger on it?
See, I think he's got the timing of it wrong today, as especially because as you said, uh, to lose there were a lot of things, and to gain not much. I mean, you in an ideal world you say that I'm putting Bumrah off his plans, and then India could be really under pump. They are a bowler down. But the point is, when are you doing this? You're doing this right at the start of the day. Now, I remember, I'm sure we all remember, he's played that shot right down first ball of the day that he's played. It was in the Ashes where he played this shot. Now, the point is, you are happy to take the reward because you're okay with the risk. I think here, I don't think he should have been okay with the risk, especially to now see had he done this, attempted this to Siraj, I can still understand that. Okay, Siraj will get under the pressure and bowl differently. Bumrah is not going to worry about it. He will like it if you do that to him because it brings him into the game even more. So it could have even not got against Siraj also. But I think to do it against Bumrah, and when you are 200 odd behind, I think Root just got his timing very completely off. And yes, you can get the intention behind it that, okay, I want to put the pressure back. But Jaiswal today showed that you can put pressure back by just batting yourself in. That will lead to you getting into better positions in the game. Then you can dominate. You just imagine Root and Duckett not giving away anything in the first half, and then India just looking at, okay, now who do we go to? That it's a far bigger problem. I think sometimes, see, it's the approach. Sometimes you don't see the bigger picture. You are focused very much on what you want to do now, and when it doesn't come off, as Padi said, it doesn't look nice on TV as well.
It'll be very interesting to see how Root goes about his business in the second innings because England are already going to be probably chasing 400 plus on day 4, day 5 of this Rajkot test. One brings two, they say, and Bairstow getting absolutely, like Ravi Shastri called it, dead as a duck because Kuldeep worked his magic. And it's a good time for me to actually plug in Anirudh Suresh's piece because he goes on to title this one why Bairstow's bat and run is as problematic as Root's slump. And it's a good depiction. It's a good read as well. If you guys are into the written context of things, England's and Root's Bairstow problem is well depicted there when they were dismissed, so on and so forth, and lots more little trivia in this one. So go check that out. Gurkirat, what is it with Johnny Bairstow? Because it doesn't look like Johnny Bairstow is even playing this series. The aura that he gave us chasing that 378 down and then Edgbaston, I know it's completely different conditions, but surely you expect something more from Bairstow.
Yeah, you do. And to be fair to him, on the couple of odd occasions where he's gotten his eye in, he's got very good deliveries. Like he got one from Akshar Patel in Hyderabad. Then I think he also got out to Bumrah once. So on other occasions, he's not got his eye in, and he's gotten good deliveries. Today, he wasn't really picking Kuldeep, and Kuldeep, to be fair, was bowling very well. And I felt that he he actually bowled better today than what his figures suggested. Should have easily ended up with a 4 for, if not a 5 for. So it's been a combination of factors. Sometimes you felt that he's taken the risk early, and then when he's gotten his eye in, he's gotten some very good deliveries as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Bairstow goes about it as well because lots of pressure on this batting order, even though at times they've kind of bailed each other out. Someone always stands up in this baseball team. Let's see how that really unravels. Remember, we're also live on Instagram, and lots of people, you guys watching from there, do let us know your thoughts, and we'll, of course, tend to them. And all you cool cats watching regularly, as you guys do on Twitter and YouTube, keep firing in your comments, and we'll give the best ones to Gurkirat and Nikhil, and we'll feature all the other ones as well. Right. Time to just show you and recap and refresh your memory with regards to the summary and how it stands at stumps on day 3. And there is a telling figure. India leading by 322. Yashasvi Jaiswal not out, but retired hurt. We'll get to him. He had a back spasm. And India essentially are playing with 9 men if you look at it right now. But let's see how it really unravels in the 4th morning. But just for information, England getting bundled up for 319. They were 290 for 5, remember, and 319 is what they got. Nikhil, I want to ask you about Ben Duckett, because we were in awe of him yesterday, how he was just absolutely picking length. Like, I don't know how he just picks candies from a sweet shop, I'm guessing. But what did Kuldeep do so well today, to Duckett in particular? Because he eventually got the wicket, probably with the worst ball that he bowled all day.
But yeah, I think the biggest difference that I felt was how further away from the stumps he bowled. In terms of the lines, that I felt he was a lot more straighter yesterday. And again, which is why something I said yesterday as well, India probably got the timing of their spinners, entry point of their spinners wrong. Because had that been different, maybe there could have been a way that they could have figured out quicker that we're all bowling too straight to him, then and he's able to pick up things very easily off the stumps. But today you saw Kuldeep probably bowled, I don't remember a better good wrist spin bowling on a flat deck than the one that Kuldeep bowled today. And he could have easily taken so many wickets. There were a couple of byes which beat everybody. The ball dipped on Stokes, turned, and then got the, one hit the elbow and went to the fence. So I think Kuldeep just found a way to drag him outside, that okay, this is where I'm going to bowl now. And now things could do many things from here. Now you tell me what shots do you have, whether you want to sweep, reverse sweep, pick, and then play from there. So I think that was very, very encouraging. Yes, it might have been that adversity pushed India into having a spell like this, that you had to start with these two, and then these two had to bowl extended spells. But eventually it worked out, and hopefully this spell gives Kuldeep also a lot more confidence that this is how he can keep players who are aggressive against him quiet, because it's been a problem for him against batters who are aggressive. So I think that was a very, very good spell, in my opinion, from Kuldeep. That just changing lines, getting the right speed, and then the dip and turn to just keep the batter guessing. That was very, very good.
Very, very good. So good that even Jurel was not able to read
Yeah.
Kuldeep Singh, sports fan over here. And Ameya Jekar, good to see you. Jay Momaya, you have a good question, which I'll, of course, ask the boys. And Abbas Kunde also spot on in your analysis, saying Kuldeep entry point was wrong yesterday. Wrist winner should have come when ball becomes soft, he goes on to say in that second comment of his. But Paji, they say fast bowlers hunt in pairs, but India's bowlers today were hunting in pairs, albeit spin and pace from both ends. We saw it first in that session of Kuldeep and Bumrah, but in that back end collapse, it was Jadeja and Siraj, and Jadeja getting Stokes. Were you really perplexed with that shot, given that Bumrah was actually stationed there? Was it again Stokes just being a little touch too egoistic thing? You know what, I'll take you on, mate.
I think it was probably a shot that came out of, in terms of wanting to release pressure, because India were, far more in control of how they wanted, like where the England wanted to score, and at what rate would they allow England to score. So probably that happened. And there was, I think, why Jadeja was also introduced late was down to the fact that Kuldeep was bowling well, and initially Rohit did not wanted to bowl Jadeja to Stokes. But there was going to be change at some point of time after the extended spell. So Stokes probably backed his strengths, but again, it's very similar to what Nikhil said about the route dismissal. Like, it is understandable why you wanted to play that shot, because in that moment you felt that, okay, now if I hit Jadeja, he also has the tendency that he'll start bowling flatter, he'll start bowling quicker, probably shorter. That will maybe take out the LBW and the bowl out of the picture. Had that shot been a success, then again the psyche would have been very different. But it did not happen. Like, today was a day where a lot of chances that England also took, which on some other days in this test series went their way, it didn't today. So this is, these are the extremes of,
Two ends.
batting in this
Yeah.
manner, or the baseball way of batting. Some days all of your risks will keep working out, and some days the first risk or the first aerial shot that you will play, it will find the fielder. And Stokes, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Stokes was unlucky, because he had his fair share of struggles versus Kuldeep. You felt that Kuldeep would really get him out, but did not happen. So all of that pressure, led to that shot, and he found the fielder.
He found the field, and from there on, boys, it was almost the writings was on the wall for England. If you look at what they conjured up in terms of Rehan, Tom Hartley, Mark Wood, and Anderson, I think all of them 20 together. And Siraj, again, getting a couple of wickets in his column next. And the one against Folks really pleased me, not just because it was back-to-back deliveries right after Folks perished, but again, you see the idea and what the plan that he was trying to execute, coming slightly wideish over the wicket. And then obviously this pitch, it's not like massive Kremlins, but it is going to hold up. And that's what happened straight to Rohit Sharma and mid-on.
Yeah, I think it was a very good period of play for India in terms of, you could see this is something that they're trying, and there were moments where you could see that yes, it is probably going how they want to in terms of batters reacting, as opposed to batters dictating how you would bowl. And I think that is very, very crucial when you are playing England, that you try and force them to bat the way you want them to. So I think that was very, very good for Siraj, because I felt he was a bit short at times. Rehan also played a very good backfoot punch of him, and then Siraj was like, let me just go back to the very full one. And then he yorked him. That was so, so good to see, that just backing up the plan that, okay, I like for Ben Folks, he's coming forward. Let me put one that will just be a bit more, in that unsure length. What will he do? Can he come back or go back? So that's where you create that doubt. And I think that's what Siraj did very well. And again, I had at the start of the test called for a random 4-4 from Siraj. So very happy that it has come probably at the right and the most opportune time that it could for India.
Yeah, well done, Mohammed Siraj. And remember, lots of people are looking at Bumrah, of course, but sometimes everyone needs to chip in, and Siraj certainly made his presence felt. Let's talk about Siraj a little bit more, because our good old friend Gurkirat was definitely hinting that he wanted to talk about Siraj. So let's have it, the showstopper segment in Mohammed Siraj today. I know
Firstly, I
people
just,
might... Go on. Go on, go on.
I just wanted to clear. I don't know where this is coming from that I wanted to talk about Siraj. I don't know from where this has been planted, but okay.
See, let's just clarify a few things. Now, I know many people might be thinking, Siraj is a showstopper today, really, even though he just cleaned up the tail and that big wicket of Pope yesterday. But as a secondary seamer, I know everyone would like Shami in an ideal world, Gurkirat, but what is about Siraj? We've seen him now 3.5, 4 years almost in Test cricket. Does he give you conviction that if it's not Bumrah, he can actually back you up? Because Nix has mentioned it multiple times in various previews and reviews about Siraj, that if he's hot, he's red hot.
Yeah, so the word that I've mostly associated with Siraj is him being mercurial, but being mercurial is not enough to fill the shoes of someone like Jasprit Bumrah. In fact, I don't think you can say that even Mohammad Shami, when you travel outside Asia, can fill those shoes, because we've seen sometimes how devoid of plans were India in that WTC when there was no Bumrah. So he's mercurial, but does not have the reliability factor of Bumrah. And to be fair, very, very few cricketers or bowlers will have that reliability factor. The aim for Siraj should be to figure out how is he going to bowl on days where the ball's not really coming out of his hand very well, where he's not getting any help from the pitch or the conditions. Can he bowl dry? That is something that he needs to somehow learn, something at which Ishant Sharma became very good at, something at which the likes of Shami and Umesh Yadav also became very good at, especially while bowling in Asia. So that is something that Siraj needs to work upon, because overseas, when there is help, that with the raw materials that and the tools that Siraj has, he can do the damage. But it's when there is not a lot of help available, and you should be the kind of bowler who the captain is confident in terms of giving you the ball, that can you follow that plan? Okay, can you bowl on one side of the pitch if captain's asking you to? So That is something that Siraj needs to bring in his game now.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with regards to that. And India needs a workhorse apart from Bumrah. And sometimes you feel like Siraj does bowl his heart out, pointed out rightly in that comment from That's Ram. Solid Q, good to see you. It's been ages, man. And you've gone on to throw us a lot of numbers. England's win percentage in Test match by year. And it goes on to show you all of that. You can quickly screen grab it in case you're interested in Solicue's numbers, but he has more. He's saying during baseball with that 60%, it's by the way minnows they feel against South Africa, Australia, now England. So England's approach is shiny piece of shit. He goes on to say, wow, people are not really going to hold back on a Saturday, which is good to know. I don't want to talk about 9-10 Jack and how England folded, but they capitulated next 319 and 126 is a lead. Could you believe that at the start of day 3, to be honest with you?
I was very happy with the slender lead. As I said, that slender would have been 10, 20, 30. I would have always taken it. But again, it just tells you how, as you know, Padi said, India experienced both sides of baseball in the last 3 sessions that they bowled to them. That in one, everything that they did worked out, and then everything that they tried did not work out. So the problem here is to hold your horses and just be very sure that, okay, this is what we want to execute. And then, and Ashwin said this in his post-match, presser yesterday, that with them you always know there is a session where they could give away 4 5 wickets, and that's exactly what happened. For them to lose 8 for 95 just tells you that this is something we keep saying baseball will have to take into consideration. It's about phases. I think Crawley did that very well in the first 2 tests, but I think in this test, Joe Root and Ben Stokes both will feel that their dismissals have come at the worst possible time for England in terms of how they've come. And yes, you will say that, okay, they'll again play that shot. But sometimes you just have to question the timing of it and not the shot in particular. So that because these are the two guys who you feel that with Bairstow not scoring and Pope having still getting a start, these two are the guys who are the ones to identify phases and then bet time also. So I think that's where England will feel that they let this slip, and I don't think India will mind at all, especially with being a bowler down. This is absolute lottery and robbery, if you want to call it that way, that you get a lead such as big as that.
And no wonder the praise and appreciation is from all quarters, from all Indian fans today, because no one actually gave us hope heading into this day without Ashwin. Everyone's kind of having their backs against the wall, even though we had 445. It was insane. And Prashant Guru, welcome to the show. Very, very good question, which we'll talk about in the What's Next segment in just a bit. But I want to ask Gurkirat about how India approached that second innings or the third innings in the test match. Rohit succumbed slightly earlier on, 30 for 1 India over. And I don't know whether it was just a poor shot, trying to sweep route, whatever. He perished. But then that partnership of 155, and that's really taken the game away from England. What really impressed you? I mean, Jaiswal, 5 6s, 100, 9 4s. We can really like sing songs till we go on. But about Gill as well, I know people will say inconsistent, but surely you can pick more positives from those two today than negatives the whole test.
Yes, so when it comes to Jaiswal, the fact that I loved about the thing that I loved the most about his innings was his acceleration, because you know initially you would have felt that maybe these two guys are batting and going into a shell, but I thought the idea was pretty clear that they did not only just want to score runs, because they also wanted to bat time so that the pitch deteriorates enough for the Indian bowlers to come into play in the fourth innings. And the other thing about Gill that I liked in this innings was that again he was batting as per the situation. He was more than happy to give the strike to Jaiswal to let him do the hitting and just hold his end while rotating the strike. One of the criticisms that have been against Gill is that he doesn't really rotate the strike enough and gets stuck at one end. Either he's hitting boundaries or he's just playing dots. So I thought that was different from him today. Hopefully, tomorrow when the play begins and the first half is going to be crucial, he's again able to keep out Anderson and Wood and then continue from here, because it's important that he keeps getting as many runs as possible under his belt, because that is going to mean a lot for his confidence. Because that 100 that came, that had a slice of luck. Now he should be looking to make sure that it was not just 100 in the last test, but he's capable of scoring a lot more and many more. So hopefully he builds on this 50 and scores a big one once again tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good to see Nikhil, and I'm sure you'll agree with me here as well. Whatever we've seen of Yashasvi Jaiswal in his test career, we've seen both modes, right? The fact that he can actually be sedate and play out particular phases. We saw that in the first 50 balls of his innings today, just 18 on the board. And then he went absolutely chaotic, five sixes, like I mentioned, and playing those reverse sweeps. And as an Indian fan, it gives us so much joy that one of us at least can play the sweep, and it's Jaiswal. And he did it with some beauty.
And not just the bad about the fact that he can play sweep, it's about how young he is to test cricket and how well he understood phases. Paji touched upon it, you touched upon it. First 54 balls, 19 runs. And in those 54 balls, it wasn't that he was tentative or not looking sure of what he wanted to do. He knew what he was doing. He knew with the batter shot, India had to bat deep. Once Rohit was gone, it was probably even more evident that they had to have somebody to bat deep. That happens, and then you see the next phase, the next 54 balls, he scores 71 runs. And when does he start? He starts when Anderson tries to come around the wicket. That okay, the ball is reversing a bit. The field is leg side field, and he hits 6-4-4, completely breaking the shackles. He's not allowing a test legend to settle into a line and length. This is not Jaiswal who's played 50, 60 tests. He's very young, and he's very young in terms of age as well. So for someone to have that maturity and being able to pull off the shots that he did in terms of with that conviction, it really is a very good sign that this is what you expect from the next batch of players, in terms of understanding phases of play, that it's not always about those boundaries, but about just this phase, let's give it to the bowlers. What is more important for us? England bowled yesterday. Now they're again bowling today. You have to make them be in the field for a longer period of time. So I think that was really well done on Jaiswal's part in terms of just not allowing anybody else to settle once he got goal. And that's how exactly you want. And Sehwag put up a story saying that, treating spinners how they should be. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of us relate to it that this is how we expected the England spin to be hit. And very happy for Jaiswal to be able to do it. Shavash, we have the ritual done as well for this test. Well done, Avnish. Well
I
done.
was saying, indeed, lots of people might be resonating with us in the comments, and they are certainly in respect. Going on to say Jaiswal and Gill batting together reminds me of Sehwag, Dravid combo on a subcontinent track, one classical, another dasher. And Bazball means England bat less overs, saying click quiz with Omkar. England spinners average 60 plus our spinners 30 this match. And Greg, I know you've asked Paji a question. I'm saving it for the end, at the end of the show, including a couple of other questions from Srijan Moyesh and Gupta, who has this one. So we'll, of course, take all those questions coming through, which is always good to see. And good to see who else was there right now in the chat, appreciating Paji's fashion. Ijaz Ali, it is indeed. So all you guys watching, remember, please like this video before we move along, because we have, of course, to throw you a quiz in just a bit. But lots of guys, and understandably so, RCB fans, upset about a certain Rajat Patidar, Gurkirat. Have you ever seen a batter in any test match to get out to potentially two of the softest dismissals you'll see for a long time in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because he's found random ways to get out. I mean, you look at his dismissals in the last test as well. Was defending a ball, and the ball just rolled onto the stumps, then got on under edge, and folks took a brilliant one. I thought in the first innings he was done in by the pitch with the ball stopping, but this one, it's really hard to explain.
Do you agree with Hayes, or do you think he's being harsh?
I don't think it was a lazy shot or a foolish lazy shot. It was more to do with, okay, I have not gotten off the mark yet. This is a short one. Let me hit it. And sometimes when your time is not good, you do find the fielders on such kind of deliveries. It's very similar to how Duckett got out today, right? On a very bad delivery. So it can happen. Uh, and see, I think in the first four innings, it's while runs are important, but you cannot judge a player only on the basis of runs. You have to look at how Patidar batted in the last test match in the first innings when the pressure was on, and it might have been only a 29, but it was a good 29. He looked solid while playing that. So I'd like him to get a few more chances before people start declaring that, oh, he's a Ranji Trophy fraud, or he's not good enough, or he's not cut out for this level. These kind of things can happen to any batter. We saw how Virat was getting dismissed, in 2021 when he had a bad time going on. Ball was staying low. Umpires call umpires would always give it out on the he was LBW out with, while the ball getting squeezed both between the bat and the pad, and even the third umpire then giving him out. These kind of things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I chuckled there because Ranji Fraud was one of the things actually said him in an office. I'm not going to name names. There was another guy who's saying the most overrated player I've seen. How the hell does he get a chance after that 112 and all of that? But lots of you guys are also not holding back. Greg saying Patidar is cursed. He was unlucky in the first innings. He threw his wicket away in the second. Sadly, he will not play for India again. Nix, do you agree with that? Now, what does it do for Rajat Patidar and his aspirations in Test cricket? Because we know KL is going to come back. We know Kohli will eventually come back. Is it just a little tame cameo which comes to an end here?
I mean, see, you can't read too much into it because one of those four dismissals you will say are probably his mistake, as opposed to more than 50% of it being his fault. So I think he'll probably be very mindful of it, that probably the shot did not look convincing enough, or probably he did not feel, or he did not go too hard at it. So that is for him to take a caller. But it is unfortunate that you feel that Kale will directly walk in, and then Rajat with his form. If Sarfaraz again has a great outing in the second innings, which I'm hoping he will, then Rajat probably sits out. But then it's okay. Not everybody gets the best starts, but the lessons that he can take from this is, what is the worst that can happen? That you've got a low bounce, you've got a great catch, you've got onto a rank long hop. So इससे ज़्यादा बुरा और क्या ही हो सकता है? So I think that's how to take it. The worst is past you, and then whenever you get the chance next, just be more ready, and that's all that you can do.
Okay, Sachin trying to I don't know, make Patidar fans feel better, saying he has a good salad and beer and he should be kept in aesthetics for, in his opinion. It's fine for Raja to sit out now. There will be more opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Darshan. And just to close this Patidar chat out, because surprisingly a lot of people are going into him, even though India are very comfortably sitting with a 332-run lead. Paji, he's asking you and saying, in fact, that's not the point, Paji. Patidar's body language was what annoyed him. When you play for India, where is that eagle gaze when you're making your debut series? Where is it?
How do you judge if someone has had an eagle gaze? I mean, I thought, like I said, I thought he batted well in the first innings in Vizag. It was an important cameo. It did not turn out. It was looking out to be turning into a good innings, but it was cut short, by a very random dismissal, so as to say, and then the very good catch that happened. So I don't think it's a case of player not wanting it enough or player not concentrating enough. I think it's just like today's dismissal. He was under pressure because of how he got out in the first innings, and he knew that, okay, this is probably the best situation I'll walk into. There is not much pressure, so I have to make it count. There were a string of dot balls, and then when you see a delivery like that, you are in two minds. Should I hit it or should I just bat for stumps? And that indecision creates such chances. So i think if a lot of analysis is being done into this dismissal, it is just being very, very critical, because 4 innings is just not enough sample space for any cricketer to be judged on. And then there is literally no pattern to these dismissals. Like, say if he was getting out LBW in 3 or 2 out of 4 innings, then you could have said maybe this is a problem. Or if he was getting out to a short ball or any kind of thing like that. But there has been absolutely zero pattern in terms of these dismissals. So there's not much to judge on, honestly.
Okay, let's leave that Patidar chat over there. Please like this video before we go on to the next segments of the show. And there is 2 of those segments remaining today. And Praveen Shiva, good to see you. Sanjay Papigiri, I have some great comments coming through and lots of questions which I haven't taken, which I'll definitely take. There's still about 7 to 8 minutes left in this review. And India should bat as long as there's only 4 bowlers. And Prashant Agarwal coming in saying India should target 500. So they need about 170 more, according to my math. Right, let's move on to the Googly being bowled by us, because we bowled relatively decent Googlies. The first one wasn't in one. The second one people still got. But what do we have today in terms of trivia? Let's find out. Right. We asked you yesterday about Ben Duckett and his fastest ton. Who was it in terms of the visiting batter to get a ton on Indian soil? I think it was Adam Gilchrist, 74 balls, 84 balls in Mumbai 2001. I know I gave away the answer earlier in the stats bit in yesterday's review, but you guys did get it eventually. Today, we're asking you this one. And we want to know again, it's Ben Duckett. It's not yesterday's question. Don't be confused. Ben Duckett was the fifth England opener to score over 115 in India. Today, we're asking you which England opener holds a record for the highest test score in India. It's a relatively straightforward one. You might get it straight away watching this in your couch, at your bed. I don't know. But let us know in the comments when the live show is over and have a chance to be shout out by me tomorrow. I was just kind of looking at all the other comments just randomly coming through. Many people saying Cook, Manikanta also saying Cook, Abbas Kunde saying Keaton Jennings, and random other comments coming through. Right, time to, of course, move on from this Googly because that was a straightforward one. And ask the boys what they think about day 4 in our next segment and our final one today. Right, Nikhil Popat, you are the prediction master. What's going to happen? Is it going to be an early finish on day 4? Because both the test matches so far, Hyderabad and Vizag has gone into day 4. Will this one go into day 5, or do you think it'll all be wrapped up by tomorrow at this time?
As long as it's happening at this time, I'm okay because I'm traveling tomorrow early morning. So I do not want to be worried about that. See, I want India to bat deep, at least 2 more sessions. And my logic is very, very simple. I want them to just keep, see, it's very, you don't get such chances often to tire the bowling attack down. You have an option now. You have 320 ahead. There is room. The pitch is still good. Yes, it is doing a bit from here and there, but you are only 4 bowlers, so you have to keep that in mind as well. So there is still time. Bat 2 sessions, get 200 more, and then if they chase from there, then Jai Mata Di, you can't do much about it. But give yourself the best chance to have 4 sessions and 500 on the board. So that's is my minimal expectations from the side for tomorrow.
Mr. Gill, what are you expecting from Mr. Gill on day 4? Because we don't know about Jaiswal, whether he'll come back and eventually have a go again. But Gill looks on course for, dare I say, a triple figure score. I'm just thinking to myself, how and when will India accelerate? They are 332. How long will they bat? How long do you think they should bat? Talk to me, Gurkirat.
I think they should bat till tea, for sure. And if they will bat till tea, they should get a lead of around 500. And they should bat normally. They should not really, be looking to force the pace of the game or anything. They're way too ahead in the game right now. And I think Jaiswal at some point of time should come out to bat tomorrow because it's a back spasm. It's not an injury from whatever I've heard or read. So if it's just a back spasm, I think sometime with the physio should sort it out with some rest. So India should bat normally. Hope that everyone can chip in and take the target to a rate where even if England bat well, it's not going to be easy for them to achieve it, because if India put on a score of say around 500 520 for England to chase, England would really have to bat at 4.55 for a very long period of time to chase that score, which is not always possible. See, it's one thing to bat at a run rate of 4.55 for 60 to 70 overs, but to bat at that run rate for a period of say 4 sessions, it's not always easy. You would have had to bowl really poorly. The other thing is, the longer India bat, the more the pitch will deteriorate. So Indian bowlers will be coming on, during a time when English batters will also know that the pitch has now started to do its tricks, and it also gives Rohit a longer period of time to have more attacking fields. Because in last Test match we saw that when India had 399 on the board, it did not feel like India were having 399 on the board. So I think they'll comfortably want 100 runs more than what they had last time, so that they can continue with the attacking fields and their plans for a longer time than what they did in the last game.
Whatever happens, England are not going to be dying wondering, right, in that 4th innings chase. All I'm trying to ask you, Nix, is can India really make a statement here? because they literally have their foot on England's throat right now. It's such an important test to win in the scheme of the series. Can they actually just back them out 550, 600? I know Anderson earlier said, 600, we can chase it. But surely 500, there's no getting past that, even if there's a baseball miracle, right?
I mean, you'd hope so. And as Paji said, it is you have to also go by the fact that okay, while they have said and they have played a way, they have still not lasted more than 80 overs or 90 overs. So for you to have that period of intent and this going, you will have to probably have two, three batters will have to have the best game of their entire lives. So see, if that happens, that's not in your control. But what is in your control is to bat two sessions. And as you said, you get 550. That is the best that you can do. If they chase 550, then you can't think about them chasing 550. What you have to think is, I have 550. The ball is doing enough tricks. Let me bowl my best. All I'm expecting from India is to just do the basics right. They did the basics well today. They came out on top. That's my only expectation out of this one, because as you said, if they collapse with 450 odd, then you are suddenly bringing them back in the game. You don't want that. Just bat the first session out. Then if Jaiswal is happy to come back, fit enough, he comes back in the second session. He is not going to rotate. He is going to be more than happy to hit boundaries. And again, it's a tiring attack. So all of this has to be kept in mind, that then your approach has to be such that you're looking to put pressure back on England. So uh, the match that you should be threatened by is the first star. That too, if there is some movement for Jimmy and Mark. If not, bat the first session out. Then look to put the most pressure in the second session, and then have the four spinners bowling well in the last session and a half.
Yeah, I agree with you fully, Nikhil and Gurkira, to that regard. Time to take some random questions right now, because lots of people want to pick your mind about a whole host of things. So, boys, just bear with me. Even though Gurkira is looking dapper and this Saturday needs to get somewhere, please like this video, boys, and of course, tell us your thoughts about day three. Gurkira, your turn first, because it's a namesake question. Guys, Gill always scores in the third innings. Why? Just like England, is it easier to bat in the third innings? Throw some light in this question, and do you agree with him?
See, the last 100, you could say that even though the match situation was something which would have favored any Indian batter to walk out at that time and come and score runs, you have to understand, for Gill, he was literally batting for his position. So he could have come out to bat with a lead of 200, 250 runs behind him. It wouldn't have made a difference, because he was desperate to score those runs. But on a general level, you would say that yes, if you have a decent lead behind you, it becomes easier to bat, because you know that the opposition will not have attacking fielders or closing fielders around the bat, so you can easily play your game. But you cannot make that argument for the last innings that he had, the last 100. And because he's replaced Pujara, so maybe he's doing those Pujara things, because Pujara in the last year or so was just becoming a second innings batter. So, but yeah, jokes aside, India would really want Gill to start scoring runs in terms of setting up the game, because more often than not, test matches do get set up in the first innings and not really in the second innings.
Okay, well answered. Srijan Moy Gupta has one about the umpiring, lads, saying, question about the review today. Best overs LBW, a gap between bat and ball was huge. The third umpire, after seeing the front on, still asked for Hawkeye to confirm should be this word. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes those are small little things we can really think. It was miles away. It was like not even daylight, but the bat was nowhere close, but they were just going through protocols, and I just generally think it's that. Next, I want to give you this one from Santa de Cruz, because he's saying, bro, what changed in plans for India from yesterday's last session compared to the morning session today? Was it also that little added advantage in a way that, okay, boys, Ashwin isn't there today, so all you guys have to chip in, and they've kind of got their motivation from that, as funny as it sounds?
I mean, you'd hope it's not that case, because you don't want that to be the factor. Okay, it's only when you're pushed into an absolute tight corner that you come out with such great, clarity of mind. But again, what happened only they can exactly say in terms of mindset. But in terms of plans, I think they started with the best possible options then, and you could potentially feel that their idea was to bowl one spinner will bowl the longest spell in each session, which is why you did not see Jadeja till the last over of that session. And you could potentially see Jadeja also saying that, I was supposed to bowl after lunch. So they were very clear with their thoughts and plans. And again, the point we discussed with Kuldeep, right, about Kuldeep going a bit wider, bringing that offside into the play, that this is where I'm going to bowl. Now you try and hit me from here. And of course, see, it's the start of the day. And it's also why I feel that Joe Root dismissal is even bigger in reflection. That it allowed India an opening without India fighting for it. In terms of,
Yeah.
India just wanted to keep it tight, few runs here and there, and then you try and take on Bumrah. It's a risk you have taken far too early in the day. And post that, you didn't see Bumrah come back too much. So he did bowl Yorkers, tried the reverse swing, and everything was tried. But the point is, because India started so well and they had an opening very early, it allowed India to bowl the way they wanted, because you saw with that with Duckett as well. That he was also happy to defend, because he also realized this is a period of play where we could simply lose the game. Eventually they did, but it was also credit to some good bowling and a few choice of shots that went wrong.
Yeah, no, it was persistent plans from Rohit, because maybe he had his
Yeah.
backs against the wall with losing his main weapon in Ashwin. But Kuldeep Bumrah pretty much was the pattern till that first drinks break at 10:30 in the morning. And then it was Jadeja, Siraj who
Yeah.
came in. Another couple of questions really quickly to take through. Fayaz, good to see you. And you ask, is there any news around Ashwin possibly returning for this match? Paji, even if it is, can he just trot back into the 11? Like, what are
Yeah.
the ICC rules? He can, right?
Yeah. He can immediately come back, be bat and bowl.
Yeah,
Both is what I heard from DK.
yeah, Ashwin can come back, but there cannot be a replacement.
There cannot be a replacement. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And there's one more question that we'll finish up and wrap up proceedings, and it comes from, was it? Jay Momaya, actually. When was the last time Jadeja bowled less overs than Siraj in India? It's a good one to think about. We'll probably give it our stats man. We'll shed you the answer tomorrow. You can check it out on cricket.com. But yeah, it's food for thought indeed. Guys, look, we've spoken about a whole host of things. If you guys are just joining us on YouTube, on Twitter, or Instagram, go check out the whole show on YouTube, cricket.com/TV, and like this particular video and subscribe to us if you're new. There's lots more coming, because the month of Feb has started, and that means the WPL, the most awaited women's tournament, is going to be kicking off, and we're going to be doing watch-alongs, fan cams, and other special content. And not to forget, there's lots of other things to love, such as Monday Night Live, where you guys can catch us on the regular weekly podcast. Thank you, Gurkirat and Nikhil, so much for your time in this day 3 review of the third test in Rajkot. Only time will tell if India can go 2-1 up in the series, or if Ben Stokes and his Bazbolians have another plan up their sleeve. Cheers. Bazbolians, right? Bazballers? Bazbolians.
Let's just call them English cricketers. That's all.
English cricketers. And with that, we'll leave you. Have a fantastic weekend ahead.
Bye.
We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
What a guy.